Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video. I've already done the 5-day forecast. You can find the video to 5-day forecast by just scrolling down the home page a bit and it'll be there underneath the link ads. Going to be an interesting 5 days coming up. Got a hot weather to start off with. We're going to get quite a lot of thunder, I think, tomorrow and again on Saturday. And they're going to turn a bit cooler into the second half of the weekend and more showery across the Atlantic. So quite a lot going on. Check out 5-day forecast if you would like to do that. There's also a written version. You can get to that via the button at the top of the page. This is the 40-day look ahead from the Beijing Climate Centre, what we do every Wednesday. Of course, we didn't do it last week as I had a few days away, but it's back for today. And we're going to go 40 days ahead. And it's going to take us into the start of October, can you believe? So although we're talking about hot weather today, by the end of this 40-day look ahead, we'll be talking about the middle part of the autumn, or going into the middle part of the autumn anyway. So we'll see what the Beijing Climate Centre is predicting. Anyway, remember, long-range forecast is always highly experimental. It's not to be relied upon. These models are pushing the boundaries of what is possible, probably even going beyond what's possible in some respects. So as ever with long-range forecasting, and long-range models don't take it too seriously. Later on this evening, we will be doing Stormwatch. We'll be updating Stormwatch to see what the thundery potential is over the coming few days. Before we get on with the 40-day look ahead with Beijing Climate Centre, just to say about the ads. There's links to articles on Beijing. Just have a browse through widgets and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. Thanks very much for doing that. There's video ads on most pages which open up content, and when you watch the close back up again, it does help to pay for gasworthvids.com. You can find the link to the Beijing Climate Centre on the links page. So you want to see these charts. It's a rather difficult website to navigate, but if you would like to try and navigate it, you can find the link to the Beijing Climate Centre on the links page. So we're starting off with the 500 millibar height anomalies. These are broken down to 10-day periods, and then have a look at the corresponding temperature and precipitation anomalies that go with these heights. As you know, with 500 millibar heights, the brighter colours, so oranges, reds, are extrapolating to high pressure, and blues are extrapolating to low pressure. So this is the anomaly from the 26th of August through to the 4th of September. And we see quite a lot of ridging, quite a lot of above average heights to the north. So there is hints of some blocking there around Greenland and a bit of a trough underneath it. That looks quite an unsettled scenario playing out over the coming 10 days. The jet stream's probably going underneath that as well. So I would have thought that's a fairly cool scenario, perhaps, as we go through into the start of September. Maybe rather changeable as well. Now, I'm not talking about a washout, I wouldn't have thought. Still a lot of above average heights generally centred to the south and the east of the country. So it's a little bit changeable, but I don't think it's a washout of a scenario. Just a little bit cooler, a little bit more unsettled perhaps as we go through to the start of September. The next 10-day period, taking us from the 5th through to the 14th of September, looks a little bit more unsettled, really. That trough of below average heights is generally to the south and west of the UK. The ridging around Greenland is declining a bit, but there's still above average heights there. So I think, again, the jet stream's probably on a bit of a southerly track, and we may be pulling in easterlies, northeasterlies, perhaps as well. So quite a complicated situation once again, but overall fairly changeable, hints at least, as we're going into the start of September. Next 10-day period taking us from the 15th through 24th of September, but it's lots more westerly, so we've got below average heights to the north, extending down into the UK, a ridge through the central Atlantic, and the jet stream is probably doing something like that. So that's a westerly, northwesterly type scenario. Again, that could be fairly coolish, quite changeable, but it's more of an Atlantic flow, I think, coming in from the ocean with that one. Overall, fairly changeable conditions being hinted at, though, I think, today for September. And then the final 10-day period, taking us from the 25th of September through to the 4th of October, it's all changed. Below average heights becoming centred around Greenland and Iceland, above average heights over and to the east of the UK. So that could be a bit of an Indian summer going on there. We could see the jet stream doing something a bit like that. And we may pull the air up from the south-southeast. In fact, of course, in October, what you're going to have to worry about is sort of fog at night, misty conditions at night and into the mornings as well. Perhaps warmish and sunny afternoons. Temperatures can be pleasantly warm even in the start of October. You can go up into the 20s Celsius, but with, of course, fairly coolish nights. So that's perhaps a more benign type scenario to go through to the start of October. Perhaps cooler, misty nights and mornings and warm, sunny afternoons, something like that. Let's see how the temperatures are stacking up over the next 40 days. So we're coming back to the first 10 days, which is the 26th of August through to the 4th of September. Temperature anomalies for this one generally coming out a little bit cooler than average. Now, I think that's probably a bit on the pessimistic side. I would have thought, although it won't be as hot as we've got it at the moment, I think it will probably still be a little bit above average, so I'll place it more into that part of the temperature scale just there. But the model is suggesting cooler than average temperatures for the coming 10 days. The next 10-day period, again, it is rather subtle, but I think it's generally a little bit above average, and I would go along with that, really. Just a smidging above average, around half a degree, something like that. The next 10-day period goes cooler than average, and that's where we're bringing in more of a northwesterly flow. Remember, it's a sort of a northwest-southeast setup with the jet stream. So that goes a bit cooler than average, and I think that probably makes sense. The air is coming out of Greenland on the base of the 500 millibar heights from the 15th through 24th of September. And then the final 10 days, this days 31 to 40, the 25th of September through to the 4th of October. That one goes a bit warmer than average again, so very much up and down with the temperatures. Really changeable period coming up, and that probably makes sense as well. With the above average heights generally to the east, you're going to pull up the wind from the south, which is going to be quite warm, especially by day. Probably cool and misty at night, but in the sunshine by day, that could be a fairly warm type scenario. So that probably does make sense as well. Having a look at precipitation, so we come back to the first 10 days. This is the 26th of August through to the 4th of September, days 1 through to 10. And we find that got above average precipitation across the country. Again, that could be a little bit pessimistic for the coming 10 days. I'm not sure it's going to be that wet, but there is going to be a lot of thundery activity around, I think, over the next few days. So some places will get big rainfall totals, other places probably not getting too much at all. But for the actual 10-day anomaly, it's actually coming out a bit wetter than average. The next 10 days, going from the 5th through to 14th of September, days 11 to 20. Well, a bit of a north-south split with that one. It's a bit drier than average in the north and a bit wetter than average down in the south. Remember, we've got a trough of low pressure sitting to just to the south and southwest. So it probably does make sense that southern parts will be wetter than in the north. The next 10 days, going from the 15th to 24th of September, days 21 to 30, that one is looking generally a bit wetter than average across the whole country, so that one does look quite changeable. And you do get the idea, it's a fairly changeable September that the model is seeing this year. Which is quite unusual because September tends to be quite a dry month. And then the final 10-day period, going from the 25th of September through to the 4th of October, days 31 to 40, come out a little bit drier than average. That's as the ridge is building, of course, to the east. The winds turn to the south, so it does turn drier and warmer, but you could get chilly and misty nights because we're into October by that point. So the nights are getting pretty long. It looks like quite a changeable period coming up. No real weather pattern dominating through the course of September. So temperatures are up and down a bit. Rainfall is up and down a bit. And overall quite a mixed September. So not the classic high pressure dominated September that we tend to expect in this country. We tend to expect September to be one of our drier months of the year. Interestingly, we've had quite a dry summer down in the south. It looks like that might be offset a little bit by a wetter September. Let's wait and see on that one. So up and down with temperatures, up and down with precipitation, fairly changeable conditions for September. That is how the Managing Climate Centre is shaping up this week. We'll have a look at it again next week. And remember, on Friday, we're looking at CFS V2 and the JMA mods. It'll be JMA Friday, so that'll extend out through most of September as well. As ever, as I said at the start of the video, as ever with long range forecasting, and particularly with these long range models, is all highly experimental. So the charts are there, you might as well use them and look at them, but don't necessarily take the things that you see in these long range updates too seriously. Right, later on we'll have a look at the Thunder potential. We could do Stormwatch this evening. That's all for now. Thanks.